She trusted the wrong person, and it nearly cost her everything. June was ready to escape. She believed the people around her would help, but slowly the truth began to show. Everyone had their own plan, their own fear, and their own betrayal. June. Osborne started season 6 still carrying the weight of everything Gilead took from her daughter, her freedom and her peace of mind. After escaping to Canada, she was finally free, but freedom didn't feel safe. She was angry, haunted by memories, and unsure of her future. June was stuck between wanting revenge and needing peace. She wanted to find Hannah, but she also needed to raise her new daughter in safety. That balance slowly started breaking apart. At first, June tried to live a quiet life. But Gilead's shadow reached even into Canada. Protesters on the street. People shouting that she was violent. Even other refugees questioned her actions. June tried to stay calm, but the rage never left her. When she saw Serena again, everything boiled over. But surprisingly, instead of fighting, Serena and June shared a moment of strange understanding. They were both mothers. Both had lost control of their lives. That shared pain built a bridge, but it was a shaky one. Serena began showing up more. Talking to June, offering help. At first it seemed honest. But deep inside, June didn't fully trust her, and for good reason. Every time June got close to someone, they pulled away or betrayed her. Moira tried to guide her to peace. Luke wanted her to move on. But no one truly understood the fire burning inside June, and that fire made her dangerous even to those who loved her. Meanwhile, Commander Lawrence worked in the background. He said he wanted peace between Gilead and the outside world. He offered deals, promised change. But Lawrence was always a man of strategy, not heart. He arranged to marry Naomi Putnam, a cold, controlling woman, just to protect his power. June didn't trust him either, and Nick, who once gave her comfort, was now trapped in his own role in Gilead. He still loved her, but love wasn't enough anymore. As all this happened, June noticed things. Serena hesitating when asked questions. Lawrence avoiding direct answers. Even Luke seemed unsure. And then came the worst moment. Someone had tipped off Gilead about June's movements. A secret escape plan, carefully made, was suddenly exposed. June barely escaped with her life. That moment confirmed what she feared. Someone close had betrayed her. And so June stood alone again, angry, tired, and unsure who to trust next. Her fight was no longer just about freedom. It was about survival in a world where betrayal waited behind every kind face. She was so close to freedom. She could almost taste it. The train was scheduled. The route was clear. The people she trusted had promised everything was safe. But in the shadows, someone had already whispered her name to the enemy. June's escape plan wasn't sudden. It was built over time with careful steps, secret meetings, and quiet arrangements. She had grown tired of speeches and promises. Gilead was still strong, and her daughter Hannah was still lost in that dark world. June knew that to save her daughter, or even herself, she had to disappear. Not just hide, but truly vanish. Luke tried to support her, but he was different now. His voice shook when they spoke of leaving. His eyes looked away too often. He loved June, yes, but he feared what she had become. She wasn't the same woman he once waited for. And deep inside, Luke wondered if running was the answer. It would only bring more pain. Moira helped as much as she could, offering shelter and guidance. But even she began to pull back. June's plan wasn't safe. It was bold, risky, and filled with emotion instead of logic. Moira tried to explain, tried to make June wait, but June was done waiting. Every second in Canada reminded her that she wasn't truly free. She was only free from cages, not from fear. Commander Lawrence, meanwhile, played his own game. He met June quietly, gave her vague promises of change and peace. But he never offered real help. His alliance with Naomi Putnam showed June that power, not justice, was his goal. He smiled often, but his eyes held secrets. And June understood that whatever help he offered came with a price. A heavy one. Nick remained a silent figure in the background. Once her greatest comfort, now a quiet ache. He couldn't help her. Not truly. He was tied too tightly to Gilead. Every message he sent, every short meeting ended in half-truths. He still cared, she saw it. But he was lost to her world now. Still, June moved forward. She found a smuggler. She gathered supplies. She planned her route to the west coast, maybe Hawaii, maybe somewhere farther, somewhere safe. She even considered taking Serena's help. Serena, now also a mother in hiding, seemed willing to risk it all. She spoke of new beginnings, of shared safety, but something felt off. The escape night arrived. June had her baby in her arms, Luke beside her. Bags packed. The cold air cut through her coat as they waited for the contact, but something felt wrong. Too quiet, too clean. And then they came, men, not police, not guards, but men who moved like hunters. One stepped forward, holding a photo of June. The smuggler was gone. The path was blocked. Someone had sold her out. They ran. June clutched her baby, Luke holding her back as she tried to fight. But they escaped. Just barely. And in the dark, with their breath fogging in the air, June turned and stared back at the shadows. Who told them? She whispered, her mind raced. Was it Serena, pretending again? Was it someone else? Someone even closer? In that moment, June realized something painful. In a world built on lies, sometimes the worst betrayal doesn't come from an enemy. It comes from someone who claims to care. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply stared, frozen as the train doors closed behind her. June stood there, holding her child close, knowing her life had just changed again, but not because she escaped. Not because she was safe. It was because of who stepped onto the train after her. Serena, the final scene of Season 6 isn't loud. There's no gunfire, no chase, no dramatic speeches, just a quiet, suffocating silence that says everything. June, exhausted and bruised, boards a refugee train with her baby in her arms. She had lost Luke in the chaos of the escape. The last thing she saw was him being taken. She wanted to go back. To fight. But she couldn't risk her daughter's life again, inside the train. She's surrounded by strangers, families, children, the wounded. Everyone is running from something. But June sits still, staring into space, her hands tremble. Her baby sleeps, and in that moment June is more alone than she's ever been. Then footsteps echo down the aisle. June looks up, and there she is, Serena, the same woman who once held her in chains. The woman who stole her child. The woman who later begged her for help. Their eyes lock. No one speaks. No one moves. Serena stands at the edge of the seat, holding her own baby. There's no victory in her face, no smugness. Just fear, exhaustion. And something strange. A kind of understanding. She sits across from June, still silent. Two mothers, two enemies. Now fugitives on the same train, heading into the unknown. The air between them is thick with memories, violence, betrayal, pain, and survival. June looks down at her daughter, then up at Serena. No words are spoken, but the tension says it all. Are you here as my ally, or as my final threat? The camera lingers, one beat, two, the train moves. The lights flicker, and then it ends. No answers. No safety, just a cruel new beginning. In that quiet moment, the audience is left with a storm of questions. Is Serena truly done with Gilead? Will June ever trust her? What happened to Luke? What future is waiting at the end of that track? The final scene doesn't just close a chapter, it opens a new wound. And fans are left haunted, knowing that the greatest danger may not be behind June, but sitting right in front of her. Freedom was never simple. Survival was never clean. And in The Handmaid's Tale Season 6, what looked like victory felt more like a slow, painful unraveling. As the credits rolled, fans didn't cheer. They sat in silence, asking the same question. What does it all mean? At its core, this season was about betrayal. Not just the betrayal between enemies, but the betrayal between friends, lovers even. Oneself. June was betrayed by systems, by leaders, and perhaps by her own heart. Her desire to protect became a reason to push others away. She wanted justice, but was forced to choose survival. In doing so, she left behind everything she once believed made her strong and Serena. Her presence on that final train wasn't just a twist, it was a message. That even the worst villains in Gilead's story are still people, still mothers, still survivors. The show didn't ask you to forgive her. It asked you to understand her. That's what makes it hurt more. The theme of motherhood stood tall this season. June and Serena, Naomi and Angela, even Aunt Lydia, battling between power and care. Each woman was reshaped by the children they had lost or feared for. This wasn't a war of guns, it was a war of hearts. And every choice made by these women came from a place of pain and protection. Fans around the world exploded with theories. On social media, some cried out for revenge. June should have pushed Serena off the train. Others begged for a reunion with Hannah. And many just stared at that final scene, stunned, unsure how to feel. Because this isn't just a drama, it's a reflection of control, of resistance, of womanhood in a world built to silence it. People praised Elizabeth Moss for her raw, almost unbearable performance, the way her silence screamed louder than her words, the way her pain never looked fake. Viewers called the finale emotional torture and a masterpiece of quiet power. Some felt hope, others felt only dread. But all agreed the story isn't done. As we wait for Season 7, the last chapter, we're left with more questions than answers. Will June find Hannah? Will Serena turn against Gilead completely? Will Nick finally choose a side? Or will everyone simply learn that escape doesn't mean freedom and freedom doesn't mean peace? Because in the Handmaid's tale, the battle never ends. It only changes shape.